Welcome back to Arise Prime Time, where we offer perspectives on the news and talking points of the day. I'm Sumner Sambo. We now move on to the Supreme Court delivering judgments on appeals challenging the outcome of governorship elections in Gombe, Kebbi, Ogun, Kaduna, Nasarawa, and Delta states. And reactions have followed the judgments delivered by the Apex Court. In a shocking development in Delta State, Senator Ovioma Agege, the gubernatorial candidate of the All Progressive Congress (APC) Delta State, congratulated Governor Sheriff Ibori on his victory at the Supreme Court. Now, in Lafia, the Nasarawa state capital, protests have erupted following the decision of the Supreme Court. 38 protesters have been remanded at the Lafia Custodial Center of the Nigerian Correctional Service for allegedly causing public disturbance. Meanwhile, Governor Abdullahi Sule is calling on the residents of the state to honor the Supreme Court's verdict confirming his electoral win. And he was earlier on a visit to President Bola Tinubu alongside his two former predecessors, where we saw him actually meeting with these two former governors. I mean, talking about Abdullahi Adamu, who is also a former governor of the state and a former APC national chairman. And then, of course, you can see the former governor also coming out there. I mean, it's a very, very great meeting that was done at the presidential villa, where we saw Tanko Almakura joining that delegation. Well, for more on all of the political angles to the judgments today, we have political strategist Dr. Katch Ononuju joining me now. Thank you so much, Dr. Katch, for joining. Let's start from Delta State. I mean, with all the talks here and there that Omo Agege has said that it's just for this case to get to the Supreme Court, and then of course he will just be going home with the trophy. But I mean, it looks like his ego was deflated at the Supreme Court. What do you have to say about that? And he has now taken it quietly and congratulated Governor Ibori.
I think that's the way to go. Delta has been a family business for a very long time, since the days of Governor James Ibori. It's a place where things are shared. And if you look at how Sheriff came in, he actually was a product of conferencing amongst the major stakeholding groups. And that's why you see, since he's already taken power, he's released over 5 billion for payment of teachers. Everyone who's been complaining that things weren't done, he's awarded 4 bridges and flyovers from Warri to Vie to Julius Berger, not just any contractor. So this tells you how very serious he has taken it. It's a state thing. Yes, Mr. Omo Agege had the mindset of the grab it, take it. But if you understand what the Supreme Court has been doing since last week, we need to stop allowing politicians to hijack the system by actually conquering the judiciary and seizing it simply because they enjoy the presence of the party in power. I don't think so. I commend the president for what I believe that's been going on since. I believe these things are going on because he's not allowed the pressure from his party men since last week to undermine the peace of the country. You've seen it in Kano, you've seen it in Zamfara, you've seen it, of course, in Plateau. So for a state like Delta, that is actually a diverse society of different ethnicities, I believe what we have is a right thing. Nobody's surprised for this. Nobody's surprised about what happened.
All right, now let's go to Nasarawa State, where we are seeing lots of things happening. And then there was this delegation that visited President Tinubu, made up of former governors Almakura and, of course, the former APC national chairman. What do you make of that, Abdullah?
Nasarawa is an issue because we knew how it went, and we also knew that it should have gone the other way. But whatever it is, they left it that way. But what I will say is, yes, a lot of people have been cheated in the last elections and the way it has gone. I will simply tell them, start to fight again. Because if you're trying to kill a python, you probably won't kill it with a single strike. You hit it, it will bend. You hit it again, it will bend. You hit it again, it will bend. And just like, as you have seen, Nasarawa is not that polite. people expected that the judgment should have been given to David Ombodagu. But it has gone the way it has gone, and what can we do? You win some, you lose some. I think the idea of allowing all governors to say, don't rupture the boat, to allow a maintenance of stability is probably a decision of policy, not probably giving them justice. But I think we should appeal to the people to see what we can do. The governor in Nasarawa should also understand that he must carry people along. Because if you understand how that Nasarawa went, the bulk of those votes came from Karu, Nyanyamaraba, were against him, and he lost it.
Which is very close to Abuja, yeah.
Yes.
And then Kaduna too. Look at how very cold they, look at how very close the
two of them are the same. Kaduna State and Nasarawa State.
No, I'm saying that in Kaduna State, we're moving to Kaduna now. The votes were very close between APC and PDP. But Ubasani.
What I would tell you is that let us believe these are the last issues about the system and society allowing rigging to stay.
All right.
If President Tinubu really wants to convince us he's sincere, he should do more. Why is the INEC chairman stay there? He should go. Let us reform the INEC, reform the electoral system. A lot is not right with our system, and I believe that we should do.
All right. Now, I just want to take you back to Delta because the politics of that state is one that I really found very, very interesting. Now, when Omar Agege was taking this case to court, he had said that it was redemption deferred for Deltans, while the governor has said that the former senator was merely relying on hearsay and unscrupulous documents which had been accusing him that, of course, he has certificate issues and all of that.
But how was Omar Agege going to win Delta? Delta has never been known to be that kind of state. You're not going to capture it. It's a diverse state. Even when it came to voting in the presidential election, they voted something else. Delta is a diverse state. How are you going to win? Yeah,
but there was that enthusiasm that Labour Party too was going to make a way.
And then when the Labour Party
Kempela didn't really go far. But he also insisted in his petition that, I mean, he won this election.
Labour Party won what the presidential election in Delta State. That was given. But when it came to the governorship, it was a different ball of game. And that's why you saw Omar Agege said he would do this, he would do that. But nobody took him seriously. Look at the state again. As I'm talking to you now, the governor has actually released the employment letters for 2,000 teachers. And he has signed the contract for the Delta government to invest in a floating gas production company. Most companies now down south are going into gas, going into, what's this called? The seashore investments into ports. So if you see what they're doing in Imo in terms of gas, and Delta is also doing the same, I will tell you, even if he had cancelled the election and gone again, Sheriff will still win again. I have no doubt about that. Look at the 140-kilometer road that's about just to be finished within the first year. How many people are going to do that? Look at the issue about 2,000 teachers. Look at the release of 5 billion to pay those who say they had not been paid. So I really do not see how you want to remove that state from whoever that the people voted for. I don't agree with that.
Well, I'm just actually taking a look at this course from that election. Ibori of the PDP had polled 360,234 votes to defeat Omar Agege, who scored 240,229. While
Ibori won in 21 or 25 local governments. Don't forget
that. The LP had said that who polled just 48,027 votes ahead of Great Ogboru of Abga, who polled 11,021 votes. I mean, how could the LP candidate having 48,027 votes claim that, I mean, he had a role to play? I mean, he should be the governor of the state and taking this case up until the Supreme Court.
Yes, that is politics.
How could
politicians will always, politicians, if they do not get what they want or they believe they've been cheated, they do the right thing, and that is go and appeal. So it's not enough to tell the man don't appeal. There are things he may know about what he thinks are irregularities that me and you in the studio do not know. So I believe everybody's ambition is legitimate. But then let us now look at what has happened. The people have voted for Sheriff, Governor Ibori, and the Supreme Court has confirmed it. But I'm telling you that more than that, the governor has gone on to do quite a lot of things that even if you had a rerun, the governor will still have come back again into, look at the things I've mentioned. Imagine the 5 billion.
And that's why I'm surprised actually with the tone of the conciliatory message that Omar Agege was sending at the end of
Omar
the day.
Agege has to do that. He
I was wondering, I mean, if he had all of this in stock, why did he have to go to the
Omar Agege
Supreme Court?
His game was simply the APC game, try to corner the judiciary and take it from there. But you can see there was a consensus by the Supreme Court that if the international community and the Nigerians are now losing their own trust in our processes due to the rascality within the judiciary, maybe judges should advise themselves and try to save the judiciary. And that's what I think we've done. But then, in doing that, a lot of people do not feel that justice has been done, especially in Plateau State, I mean, in Nasarawa State, and of course in Kaduna State. But what I will tell you, there's a struggle. Everything does not end in courts. Let them go and prepare again for the next election. And let the governors also, who know they were imposed, understand that yes, they may have been allowed to stay. There's a need for them to broaden their inclusive windows to bring those who should actually be in governance due to the voting pattern. It's not everybody that is in government that actually won elections.
Yeah, of
and
course.
That's what we're saying. So,
but they are the ones that were declared.
Yes,
I mean,
that's exactly.
And so once you have been declared,
because
whatever perception that the public has, I mean, it's just issues of legitimacy.
The public does not stay away. That's why people like me, if I know something is wrong and the courts or wherever and I go that way, I will still tell you that this is wrong.
All right, how about the idea of politicians actually being conciliatory right from the Court of Appeal level and not wanting to push too many cases to the Supreme Court? Because I'm saying this because of the statement that Omar Agege has said, that the governor, having now received the Supreme Court seal of approval, should receive his well wishes as a Democrat. I mean, very flowery language.
Yeah,
so if you
are
knew you were going to say all of this, why didn't you stop at the Court of Appeal level?
No, it's not true. Omar Agege and others were probably playing, believing, just as Gandu just said, they would take Kano, they would take this. Those were simply believing that being the party in power, they have the ability to bend the hands of the judges to get what they want. But probably some of the stakeholders understanding that allowing the judges to give through court cases like this for politicians to be happy is not the best for the country. If the citizenry have now, on a very large scale, expressed this discomfort with the rascality in the judges. Look at that lady that in the Court of Appeal, the head of it. I think the judges have to do something. There's something wrong about that lady, the head of the Court of Appeal. So you'll also ask yourself,
that's Justice Monica.
How?
Dongba Mensah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She is not the best person.
Well,
if the judiciary
that could be your own perception. I mean,
my perception.
And judges under her that were at the tribunal, not necessarily
I spoke to lawyers. I have for the past 3 weeks been talking to lawyers, and they tell me that if truly the Supreme Court and the body of benchers want to correct these things, let them remove those bad eggs. You don't need to pretend. It's like what we talked about.
Well, do you just remove them or they are tenured? And
there are polite ways to ask them to go. Remember that
these are judges. You're talking of the nation's highest judges.
Judges are human beings.
Except if you want them to do the sort
of... If the judges are seen to have erred.
Except if you're looking for an Onogen treatment.
No, not an Onogen. Don't forget, removing Onogen himself, that was actually a traverse of justice. And that was where Buhari started on the mind of the judiciary.
So tenured,
why don't we just say that those war against the judiciary? Because when you put excessive pressure on judges, that's also war against the judiciary.
Yeah, I mean,
when you try to get judges to do what is not proper, it sets judges up against
and that's exactly what you're asking, that someone who is not yet set for retirement should actually leave her position.
Yeah, but if we have now seen that she is not fit,
aren't you being guilty of
whether you like it or not, she is not fit for that position.
Well, that's your view
from
for now.
Everything that you've seen the Supreme Court has done, everything she had decided upon,
I know it's been very controversial, especially for the Plateau judgments by the Court of Appeal on the senators and then House of Assembly members. But as we try to round off this conversation, Dr. Katch Ononuju, why is it difficult for some other candidates like that of Plateau to concede, like we heard Omo Agege conceding?
Some of them were promised.
Sort of very difficult for David
some were promised by godfathers. Some were promised by people in Abuja that don't worry, we'll fix it, we'll give it to you. And they kept on with such a mindset. But because you see, Supreme Court being a court of policy, understands that if you allow these buccaneers to seize the space and turn the country into a one-party state, that's not the best for our democracy. So they start to understand that, look,
are you trying to say that these judgments were more political than legal?
These judgments were more of policy to allow the country to enjoy peace. I believe that. These are judgments of policy of peace, national security. Don't rock it. Don't allow those politicians who we know have said, when we get to judge, God will know me and you, who knows somebody there.
Is this statement based on perception or based on facts?
Well, when the gentleman said that in regards to Kanu, he probably has something else in his mind. When he says, when we get to the court, we will show them who we know.
Yeah, I mean,
even
in Delta, that was the perception, because people were saying, Omo Agege will say, just don't allow this case to go to the Supreme Court.
Do you know why? Get to the Supreme Court, happy you're saying you're calling Omo Agege. And a lot of the people making these statements were members of the APC. So ask yourself, if you allow members of the APC to have their way, whether they won election or not, but because they can bend hand of judges, the country wouldn't be proper.
Is it only of judges or the perception that they could actually get the President Tinubu to speak to certain people?
No. But President Tinubu understands now. Let me also tell you, President Tinubu understood that the way he came into power, those who supported him into power, some of them are probably not happy with the policies that he has been doing. And for those reasons that they don't like him, some of us who didn't support Tinubu now support him. I like the polite devolution of
you were with Peter Obi. If someone actually hears you saying that you're supporting Bola Tinubu right now,
I support. Listen, hear me.
Wouldn't that put you in trouble?
No. What I did with Peter Obi, I did it out of my conscience. Until tomorrow, I still believe in it. But Peter was not declared. Tinubu was declared. Now, Tinubu's policies seems to actually be rhyming with the objectives that I also have. And some of those people whom I convinced to follow Peter have. Don't forget, it's a country of diverse people.
And you won't be accused of being a turncoat?
How would there be a turncoat if I say I support the devolution of the over-concentration of powers in Abuja to the federating unit? How could that be a turncoat? I've preached for that for a long time. Is it because someone else goes to buy the cloth? No. If the tie you're wearing, I like it. Even if it's somebody I don't like that buys it, it does not stop me from appreciating it.
All right, Dr. Katch Ononuju, as we try to round off this conversation, I'm very, very curious to know why some governors like Plateau, Governor Caleb Mutfwang of the PDP has been praising President Tinubu since his judgment.
God bless you.
I mean, saying
because
that, look,
God bless you.
He felt that
you are very correct.
He wasn't really convinced that the Supreme Court will not do something
because
about
the
that
governor was frightened.
He was surprised.
He was threatened and told that when we come here, we'll show you that we are in power. When we come here, we will take the state off you. You can win it on the election day, but we'll come to Abuja and do our thing and take it. And Tinubu says, no, I think this is going to undermine the country. Let's have for peace. Please, judges, do the right thing. Forget this, my party people coming. And that's exactly why you're seeing that. So if they feel disappointed because those in Kanu say, we will show them who knows those in court. No, the court should be for all of us Nigerians, not for some of you because you have access to power. So Tinubu has now started trying to calm down nerves by not allowing his party people to become overbearing upon the judges.
Especially on the issues of Kano. But also...
Not only Kano.
There was that flip side.
The issue of Kano.
I was having a conversation with some lawyers who told me, and I mean, it was a mixed gathering of politicians and lawyers who said it looks like the judges have read the minds of Nigerians, including politicians, exactly. And what they've done is to make everybody happy. And that's why no state was upturned, despite some of the thinking that a lot of people had on Nasarawa, for example.
Yes.
Or maybe Gombe, for example.
Because I know Nasarawa, I disagree with the judges. Listen, Nasarawa was clearly won by the PDP. No story about it.
All right. So was that judgment just to make everybody happy? I mean, the NNPP has benefited, the Labour Party has benefited, PDP has benefited,
no.
And the APC.
In all this, the Labour Party got cheated the most.
How do you mean? Because I mean, the one they got in Abia was given to them. If I may use that word, actually.
Listen, there were a lot of places Labour got that they were muzzled out and they were taken away from them. You saw the by-election in Lagos. Labour won it. With the Biamila's seat. Understand what I'm saying? What I'm begging is President Tinubu should go further and try to institute the idea of fair and free elections.
Okay.
It's not just asking the judges to allow those who have pole positions to keep them, but go further to reform INEC. And that means he understands that we are not happy for the way his party people have undermined the electoral system.
There's no one who will become president with those lower number of votes from Nigerians and will be happy. Because anybody who wants to be president would love to actually have majority of the votes, but the turnout was low, and then of course
it's not like the turnout was low. Listen.
But very quickly, I don't have enough time left. Could it be also that the Supreme Court is trying to redeem its image before Nigerians with all this judgment we've seen in past
You have said redeem its image.
Especially after the presidential.
It's a process. You understand? Now you understand what I'm saying.
Then,
good.
The judgments.
If the Supreme Court will say President Buhari bent their hands, did these things, and then the courts were smashed, the electoral system were messed up, good. We could understand that. Buhari has left. Let us start now to heal. It just shows you how calamitous Buhari's rule was. You heard what the APC people said, that Buhari's rule was so destructive that they drove the country into bankruptcy in different ways.
Right.
That bankruptcy is not only financial bankruptcy, we also have sociological bankruptcy, political bankruptcy, and bankruptcy in even the security system. That's why you're having...
Is it the same Buhari that was being praised just a few days ago that you're talking about? By APC leaders and some other Nigerians during the book launch of Femi
People can deceive Buhari, but you know I won't deceive him. I will tell him the truth.
Dr.
Buhari has been a calamitous leader.
Well, Dr. Katch Ononuju is a political strategist and a former advisor to Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi. Are you still with him?
Of course, I'm still with Peter till tomorrow.
All right.
I'm not going anywhere from where
because your views seem to be changing.
What has he changed? Because I like the policies of Tinubu in trying to devolve powers. How could that be a change?
And your views on Delta states were very strong too. And then of course,
but Delta is the truth. What it is. Sheriff won the election and they should let it stay.
All right. Well, that's how it's been for this edition of Arise Prime Time. Do join us again next week from me and the entire team here in Abuja. Goodbye and thank you for watching. I'm Sammy Sambo.